Intrusive thoughts. What is that, you may be asking? You may not know it, but we all have them from time to time. They're involuntary, unwanted, and often distressing ideas, images, or impulses that just pop into one's head. These thoughts can sometimes be disturbing and are typically against a person's values or goals. As they're rightly named, they intrude and push themselves into your thoughts, often causing anxiety or discomfort to where we stop, shake our head, and say, "How did that get in there?" The bottom line is that intrusive thoughts are normal, but their impact and how someone responds to them can vary widely from person to person. Now, of course, when it comes to 6-scale hot toys collecting, these intrusive thoughts can manifest in unique and specific ways related to this hobby and passion, and ultimately rob you of the joy of collecting. And at the end of the day, where is the fun in that? Well, what are we waiting for? Let's talk about it. Coming right up. Well, what's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another video today, where we're going to be talking about the top 3 most intrusive thoughts of a Hot Toys collector, and of course, how to overcome them. But I need to be honest, and I need to come clean about an intrusive thought that I myself have been having, and that is that there are people out there that are watching my videos and are willingly not subscribed to this channel. The horror. So why don't we fix that by subscribing to the channel right now and giving me a presumptive like on this video, just to be sure. So now that that is out of the way, let's get back to our main topic and address 3 intrusive thoughts that we experience as collectors, and of course, how to get over them. As I said, if you're not having joy in collecting and this is not fun for you anymore, we need to get to the bottom of it and help you get back to the joy of collecting that you felt when you first started out. And that begins with talking about intrusive thought number 1, and that is the fear of damage or loss to your favorite figures. That's right. One of the most common intrusive thoughts for Hot Toys collectors is the unrelenting fear of their favorite figure being damaged. Imagine you've just acquired a rare, mint condition, exclusive figure, but you can't stop thinking about all the ways that it could get ruined, such as flaking leather, or creasing in a suit, or scratches on the armor. What happens if your cat knocks it off the shelf? What if an earthquake hits and your display case shatters? These thoughts can be overwhelming, and I get it. Do you want a real-life example? Well, the entire reason that I redid my display cases, in addition to needing more room of course, was because I had seen far too many Reddit posts and Facebook pictures of shattered Detolf glass all over the place. And I thought, enough worrying about it. Let me go ahead and remove that intrusive thought from ever coming back into my mind by getting rid of the glass cabinets. Now, of course, I'm not trying to get you to start having that thought. I'm just giving you an example of some of the things that just pop in there. But another example might be obsessively thinking about losing a tiny accessory piece, like a hand, a lightsaber, or Loki's crown. Yeah, that one actually did happen to me recently, and then your whole figure would be incomplete. Whatever it is, we as collectors dwell way too much on the thoughts of what could happen to our figures, and we don't actually enjoy them in the moment at all. And that should not be, but I'm here to provide you solutions. So what should we do about this? The first obvious solution is to take protective measures. Start by investing in some high-quality display cases and storage solutions to protect your figures from physical damage. Naturally, maybe you've been holding out for a good display case or using those 303 wipes on pleather. Maybe you should look into a humidifier. Maybe all your accessories are in little baggies and not stored properly. Whatever it is, just remove the obstacles that would cause problems out there, and solutions go to every budget and every type of collector if you are willing to look. It just takes a little effort. So take some action, do something to be proactive. The quicker you do, the quicker you can get back to enjoying your figures and collecting. Now, the next intrusive thought is the concerns over market value. The fluctuating market value of Hot Toys can be a huge source of intrusive thoughts. Collectors, including myself at times, obsess over whether their collection is appreciating or depreciating in value way too often. Remember the Beanie Babies, that craze from the 90s? Think about the collector who invested heavily in Beanie Babies, only to see their value plummet and tank. Now, every time they look at their collection, they can't help but think how much money that they wasted and lost. Is that you? In the current state of this economy, every time you walk into your collection room, you just see giant red numbers floating all around the room. Imagine constantly refreshing eBay or collector forums to track the current price of a rare, exclusive figure, worried that it might drop before you decide to sell, or it gets reissued, or the 2.0 treatment. What a terrible way to live. But I get it. These are not cheap when you buy them for retail, and any chance that you have to maintain value is obviously important to you. We're always one what-if moment away from having to sell our entire collection, and of course, isn't it logical that you want to be able to get top dollar for those figures? I recently took a lot of heat from my Reels and TikToks showing me leaving Hot Toys boxes out in the rain and throwing them away, and so many people in the comments were screaming, "The resale value, you fool!" But the solution of the intrusive thought of over-concerning ourselves with the value is this: keep a long-term perspective. Focus on long-term enjoyment of your collection rather than short-term market value. Learn to live more in the moment and stop obsessing over what could happen. As we mentioned to the point above, take the proactive measures that you need to insulate yourself from damages or loss, but after that, like Elsa says, just let it go. I think far too many collectors, including myself at times, look down the road at what happens when we need to resell a figure and we don't stop to actually enjoy them while they're actually sitting in our collections. We spend sometimes 2 years waiting for a figure to release, only to stress ourselves out for the rest of eternity, worrying about its value for 20 weeks, 20 months, 20 years from now, perhaps? These things ought not to be. Maybe consider diversifying your collection to items that hold only sentimental value. How about that? Not just monetary. If a figure means more to you and you plan to never sell it, that's worth far more in my mind than the next exclusive that's going to hit the shelf that you don't really have an attachment to. Also, limit how often you check the market values. Don't do that all the time. Ignorance is bliss. Stay up to date, sure, but stop obsessing. And speaking of exclusive, finally, our last intrusive thought as a collector is none other than the fear of missing out. That's right, FOMO has reared its ugly head. Now, FOMO really is a powerful psychological phenomenon. Now, I know the thrill of acquiring rare and exclusive items can be exhilarating, but the constant anxiety and stress associated with FOMO 100% does detract from the joy of collecting. The first thing to consider is the obvious financial strain. Perhaps you feel pressured to buy things at inflated prices to get it quick, or to purchase more than you can afford, fearing that you will miss out on a limited edition or potentially valuable piece. This leads to accumulating massive debt and having your life tied up with toys you don't even really want. That is not fun. But let's not forget the stress and anxiety. Remember the last point when we talked about the long-term perspective for our collections? Instead of enjoying the hobby, too many of us find ourselves in a perpetual state of unease, always on the lookout for the next must-have item. That stress can overshadow the satisfaction and enjoyment that your current collection should bring. And why is no one ever talking about an imbalanced collection? You may say, what do you mean by that? Well, building a collection of figures that have no place or purpose in your current display, all in the name of exclusives. Now, you may be looking at me right now and saying, hey, you're one to talk, but there is a purpose to my collection. I didn't used to be that way. I used to buy random DC pieces because I had a completionist mindset, but thankfully, I grew out of that. But succumbing to FOMO can result in imbalanced collections filled with figures that you hastily got out of fear rather than genuine interest. This leads ultimately to a sense of dissatisfaction because you're surrounded by items that you don't appreciate or connect with. Now, I know that this is a hot button topic right now, that being the Wolverine from the new Deadpool Wolverine film. But if you have no connection to Marvel, the X-Men, or Hugh Jackman, you don't have to have this figure just because everyone else is saying that it potentially is going to be Figure of the Year. As they say, don't give in to hype. That leads to the dark side. Well, there you have it. Intrusive thoughts in collecting are a common thing, and I'm sure I've missed quite a few of them, but that's where you get to come in. If you found this video helpful or relatable, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, of course, and subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, would you please share your intrusive thoughts and how you handle them down in the comments below? I would certainly love to hear from you and know if you are struggling with any or all of these feelings. It's not just going to stop overnight, but understanding why you may be feeling that way can help you manage them more effectively. I want everyone to have fun, and by recognizing and addressing these intrusive thoughts, we can find ways to enjoy our hobby without being overwhelmed by anxiety or doubt. Until next time, happy collecting, stay cool out there, it's hot, and I'll be seeing you in our next video.